Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Changing Room 21-Day Yoga Challenge. Today we're looking at Downward Facing Dog, Adho Mukha Svanasana. So this is what it looks like, and with any pose, we start at the ground. We build it from the ground up. So looking at her fingers, they are spread out, and each one of them is doing their job to grip the mat. Moving up her nicely parallel arms to separate shoulder blades. She's consciously separating those shoulder blades, and I'll show you how to do that. She's got a nice long spine and tailbone with a tailbone that scoops up toward the ceiling, which allows for that length in the back and gives you the stretch in the backs of the legs too. So if you need, the knees can be bent and the heels as well can lift off the floor. And those are kind of like your little escape hatchets. So lots of length through the back is the purpose of this pose. And a side benefit is the stretch that happens in the backs of the legs, but you can control that part by bending the knees. I'll show you how. So some of the benefits of downward dog include strengthening the wrists and the hands. It relieves neck and low back tension thanks to that nice long length we get from the back. It stretches and strengthens the shoulders, and that has to do with that conscious separating and pushing up and out. And it lengthens the backs of those legs, the hamstrings and the calves. So these are the instructions on how to practice downward facing dog. I'll let you go through them on your own. You can pause this recording if you like, so you can read through them, or you can just refer to them later. And we'll go through the physical demo in the second half of this video. Contraindications to downward facing dog. This pose is really, really good for almost anyone. If you are very, very pregnant, it may not be good for you. And if you have wrist and shoulder injuries, you look out for those. And our friends with high blood pressure and headaches want to take care too with this pose. It's just because you're putting your head below your heart, and so it can do funny things to your blood pressure. So downward dog is like the vanilla ice cream of yoga poses. It goes with practically everything, and it's so good for you. Sun salutations could not be done without downward facing dog, and you'd be hard pressed to find a yoga class without a down dog in it. Use this pose to cultivate strength in your shoulders. Study that pushing up and out of the shoulders that I'll show you. You'll see that in a lot of arm balances and inversions like handstand and shoulder stand as we move forward. That pushing action is found in plank too, so you'll cultivate more core strength as we move forward by leveraging that push. Downward dog is the perfect place to find yourself after a long run or even just a lot of walking around. Traveling a lot? This dog is the perfect travel companion. So let's check it out and see what it looks like in our own bodies. So for downward facing dog, you can come into it a couple of different ways. I believe in the instructions that I wrote for you, we did hands and knees. So you would just begin in hands and knees, look down at your wrists and look at these wrist wrinkles and just line those up with the front of your mat, and that will help get your shoulders in the right rotation. Tuck those toes and lift back into your downward facing dog, so you'll end up like an upside down V shape, basically. So from here, the knees do not have to be bent. They don't have to be straight, and your heels don't have to touch the ground. I've just been doing this pose for, a large part of my life at this point, so they just go there. But if you need to bend your knees so that you can send your tailbone up toward the ground, then do that. What you're really looking for is some lift through this tailbone. You really want to be able to kind of stick your booty up. And when you do that, you'll be able to feel the stretch in the backs of the legs. So another way to come into this pose, and if you're doing a flow class, like a vinyasa class,
Downward dog it's just all in the mix, and you'll often go through a plank pose, which we'll look at, but from plank you can push back, and that gives you a little bit longer stance. So depending on where your yoga practice takes you, you might end up with a longer dog versus a shorter dog so that you can get into your plank from there. So it kind of depends on what's going on and what the nature of your practice is that day. So I hope this is helpful to you, and I'll see you again next time.